Now watch this drive.
Welcome back to the Highly Original Podcast. I'm Joe Martino,
And I'm Parker Danks.
and we're back for another episode. We teased this one, of course, and this episode is on the 2019 film Midsommar, which is kind of more on the it's at the very end of what we do, the 2010s, so it's 2019. But Parker, this was a Parker Danks requested topic.
Right here.
Yeah. So Parker, how are you?
I am good. I'm enjoying my lemon tea. I got a big weekend ahead. And yeah, we're gonna see where it goes. And then on Sunday, I am seeing The Killers in Houston. I'm
Oh,
super excited about that.
that's exciting. I would love to see them, honestly.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see them since I was in the second grade. Not second grade, I'm sorry, fifth grade, because that's when Hot Fuzz came out. So yeah,
Okay.
fifth grade.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been a long time coming.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember them. I've liked them for a long time. My band used to play when you were young, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
So Midsommar is it's a horror film directed by Ari Aster. It stars Florence Pugh, Jack Rayner, William Jackson, Harper, Wilhelm Blumgren, Elora Torchia, Archie Madekwe, and Will Poulter. I'm sorry if I butchered anybody's names there. I'm sure they're listening, so I apologize. So basically, this film is kind of in the vein of like a movie like The Witch, like a folk horror. So it's not like a classic horror. It's not a slasher by any means. And the basic story is this girl, Danny, played by Florence Pugh, is in a relationship with her boyfriend, who is a graduate or he is a PhD student in like anthropology, and he's not happy with her. Like he wants to get out of the relationship. She really wants to stay in the relationship, and then her sister, who is hinted at having like depression or something like really bad, like suicidal tendencies, ends up committing suicide by putting exhaust in the house, and it actually kills her and Danny's parents, and that's sort of in the beginning, and then some of her boyfriend's friends, including this Swedish guy, invites them to his village, which is this commune in Sweden, like in like the northern section of Sweden, kind of remote. And in this this commune, they're still practicing like Viking religion, I guess. I don't know how accurate, like if it's kind of
Like,
they're kind of
like
mixing it.
paganism.
Yeah, I mean they might be mixing it with like kind of new age hippie stuff. I'm not sure. But that's they're still doing that kind of stuff. And they go up there. There's like psychedelic drugs. Everybody's dressed alike. They're all wearing flowers and stuff. And slowly but surely, it's kind of revealed that this is not just a hippie commune. This is a cult, and they're celebrating this big festival. And all the people that are from the outside are. It's evident that they've been lured there to be sacrificed to these gods, and one by one they start dying off, and they have special plans for Danny and her boyfriend, including making Danny like the May Queen, and it's all this stuff. It's very a lot of the horror is not. I don't think there's any jump scares. It's all just like kind of psychological, creepy stuff. I don't know. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think Ari Aster he's almost given himself a signature in all his films. I've seen
Yeah.
all of them. I've seen Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid. I just watched that one with my friends in the theater a
Oh
few weeks
yeah.
ago. And he's got this. He's
That one
now
looks weird. I'm like not. I'm not trying to see that. I don't know. Should I?
I think you should, and let me know how you feel.
All
Uh,
right.
but I really like this director because he's almost. It seems like everyone's done everything with horror. They've done it all. We've done the slashers. They've done the haunted houses. They've done the paranormal things. But I think Ari Aster is doing something a little bit more unique. He's doing more of a psychological thriller with a little layer of comedy. Um, and what she doesn't really do in Hereditary that much, the whole comedy thing, but in Midsommar he does. There's a lot of funny parts. For example, the guy who was like the jokester, who they turned into like the clown, pretty much, and they cut his face off.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he
Yeah,
had
that
all the
part.
funny one-liners, and that guy's a
Oh
great
yeah.
actor.
Yeah, he is.
Uh,
He was it. He's from the meme from the Meet the We're the Millers,
we're the Millers,
where he's like,
yeah,
"You guys are getting paid."
yeah, and he was like
He's
that.
that guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
was a
like him. He's a good
but
actor.
kind of
But
feeding off what you said in the synopsis. Um, if you think about what happened at the beginning, what makes it more intense to the audience who haven't seen it is that after her sister and her parents die, right before that, her boyfriend was going to break up with Danny. And
yeah, yeah,
and then once that happened, she called him crying, which
yeah.
means he's pretty much stuck with her. He can't be like he's already kind of a mean guy, like kind of like a douchey guy. And so like
I don't know if he was douchey.
I would say he was not.
Really? I mean,
I would say he
all
was kind
right.
of a
I guess a
scumbag.
little bit. He's a little bit kind of full of himself, maybe, but I don't know.
Ah, yeah, I
I
don't
feel like
know.
the other friend that we were just talking about, he was more of like the 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 tool of the group.
I feel like they were all tools except maybe the guy who did the research. He was all right, and then the Swedish guy, he seemed very like empathy. He was an empath. Like
Well,
he was like,
he was a big fraud. He was luring them. He like,
yeah, but I think like
no, Parker, I don't think like he was luring them to be sacrificed to Ishmir or whatever.
right, but as a horror viewer, I think there's parts of the viewer that wants certain characters to die. Like we're watching a horror movie and you go, these people are gonna
Whoa.
die. Yes, listen to me. Listen.
But that doesn't
When you watch a slasher, right, you go, oh, this person's so gonna die, or this person's annoying, I hope they die. Like in the movie, right? And so these characters aren't the best. Like they're kind of tools, most of them. But Danny's character is such a sweetheart, and yet she's kind of treated like
oh yeah,
crap by
yeah,
her
no, she's
boyfriend.
treated terribly.
Like she's treated terribly. But the guy who lures it's kind of bittersweet because the Swedish guy who lures them in, he has the most empathy towards Danny. He's the one that's
It's
like, hold on,
a
listen. He has the most empathy towards Danny, and therefore his character's likable, even though he's luring them into this madness of a festival.
Oh, I
Because
didn't like him.
it's kind of it's kind of I didn't like the guys who died. I
He
thought they
was
were terrible.
manipulating her. Like the
Yeah, but the thing is, she was already miserable the whole movie, right? And at the very end of the movie, you see her genuinely, you see her smirk a few times in the movie, but you see her genuinely smile, and you could see it not only on her face, but in her soul. She's happy. She has found a family. And that's the irony of this film. It's so messed up. Like you said, they're practicing paganism. They're practicing Viking traditions. I mean, the blood eagle. Did you see that where the guy had his lungs spread out like wings? That's an old traditional Viking ritual where they would cut people's lungs out and
oh,
make wings out of them.
I didn't know what it was. I just was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's called the blood eagle. That's
oh,
a Viking
so
ritual.
you're saying that's like that was like a real thing?
Yeah, like
Oh, okay. I didn't know
I think
that.
in Viking history, that was one of the most. If you look up like the most gruesome deaths of all time, that's one of them. It's called the Blood Eagle. It's mentioned in the show Vikings, the TV show too. They'll like what happens is they like cut your back open and they take your lungs out and you like break your ribs open and they make wings out of your lungs and they like make
Yeah,
you
no,
look like an eagle. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome, and they did it to the British guy.
yeah, it was like a British guy, but
Now those were the characters I actually felt bad for. They were actually kind of sweet, and like they were just like, "This is
I
corrupt."
felt bad for all of them. They don't.
I didn't.
You can be a jerk, but you doesn't mean you get that you deserve to be sacrificed in a crazy commune after being drugged for days. No, man. No.
I didn't like her boyfriend at all. Now, me and my buddy Jake, what's up, Jake? I'm giving him a shout out. We're talking about last night, and yeah, dude, we actually did feel bad for him, the whole bear thing, and like that would have been terrible. But like they are really stupid. Like they were like they trust the guy who was the Swedish guy. He looked sketchy anyway. Like he was very mysterious and inviting them to this festival. And one of the guys who was studying journalism and or anthropology, I mean, kind of knew what was going to happen because he said he already knew what was going to happen at this festival. So it was kind of a
Wait, was
setup,
that
but they
the
were
that
kind
was
of
the
dumb
guy?
enough to go out there in
That
the
was the
first
guy
place.
from The Good Place, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, because so yeah, I like didn't fully pick up on it. So he knew that like the old people were gonna like jump off the cliff.
I believe so because
Okay.
he this was
Which is
all
a
about
part
him. This was all
for
about
those of
him.
you who haven't seen it, there's like a ritual where like the elderly of the village like commit suicide because they can't
Because they're
work.
so they how they work is they work in seasons. So like spring is like when they're children, so like 0 to I think it was 18, and then it was summer 18 to 30, and then it's fall where you work, and that was like 30 something to 40, and then it's winter, and that's from like 58 to 72. And she goes, oh well, what happens after 72? And he goes, so like after 72, they sacrifice themselves. And it's like an honor to do that. Even though the guy who jumped, the old man, that was so gruesome. I could,
It's
but
evil. Like
kind of defending what I was saying, I'm not really rooting for the characters to die, but it's more like I'm following Danny the whole time. Like I'm rooting for her because you feel so bad for her. Like
well, can I say I haven't seen too much of Florence Pugh's like movies, but I was like, oh wow, she's a really great actress
she
after
is.
watching this performance. Like, yeah, like she was pretty, and she's British too. You would never know. She's like got the
Yeah.
accent down pretty well.
I think a few of those actors in that movie were British. I think her
Yeah,
boyfriend's also British, and I think, and then the funny guy, I keep forgetting his name, but he's British as well.
no, yeah, 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 he's British. Yeah, I mean, but all right. So we're talking about all these like crazy festival parts, right? So one of the questions I had for you, man, at what point, like, let's say you, Parker, are invited by a mysterious Swedish friend to go to this thing. At what point would you have like left? Would you have been like, yeah, I'm out?
I think not even going in the first place, one, but if you talk about actually going, because this isn't just a music festival. It's not a music festival.
No,
It's
it's not at
it's
all.
a it's a cult. So I think
It's
what it made
no,
me leave is just showing up in the first place and seeing those people. Actually, I want to have showed up because when he's like, "Oh, this is the family," he shows them a picture in America. He shows them a picture, and they're all in their like white gowns. I would have been like, I don't know about that." So I don't think I would have gone.
no, but no, you're there. You're already there. You went.
Okay, so then I would probably during the opening ceremony, which she's like, "Welcome to Midsommar, the 92 years." Like that's when I knew, hey, this is not like a normal festival. This looks like a cult. And that's way before the sacrifice happens.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to even go beyond that, the dinner scene where they're like walking up slowly
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
All
then they
the
eat when they start. Like, and
yeah,
they're all like almost in unison eating together. So that's what about you? I'm gonna reverse the question and ask you: when would you, Joe, would have left the Midsommar festival?
see, like I feel like as soon as the old people killed themselves, I would have just been like, all right, yep. Like
But that's the thing; it was too late. Those people tried to leave and they got killed.
I know, but I feel like I wouldn't be as like open about it. I would have just left. Like
You just like run out.
yeah, whereas like they made a whole thing to talk about stuff. Like I think I would have been like, yeah, like I'm done. This is like, yeah, this is too weird. Like, because like, is that even like legal? I mean, I know like some of those countries have like legal euthanasia, but like, I feel like I would have been like, I just witnessed the murder. Like,
Uh, yeah. So, well, you know what I heard is they had a bunch of screenings in Sweden, and apparently, during all those screenings, the entire audience laughed the whole time. So they were probably like, this isn't how we are, but like this has probably happened in history, maybe, if you look at like Viking traditions or
Yeah.
paganism. But maybe it was just feeding off like, hey, there's it's Ari Aster's creation of I think I think it's not just the festival. I think the festival represents, and that's why I was kind of rooting for Danny, is because the festival represents the toxic relationship. Like the whole thing is about this toxic relationship. And when she finally leaves it, when he dies, she finally is happy. And so that's what this whole movie, I think, is about. That's like the underlying theme of Midsommar
All
is
right. Well,
it's about a toxic relationship pretty much. And the festival is just like the background noise. Um,
I mean, that's a way to read it, I guess, but like I still think I don't think in the end, oh, she's like living it up with them because she was elected May Queen and just watched her boyfriend burned, like sacrificed and burned in a bear.
I know.
Like,
I wish I would have seen your face watching this movie because
no,
it is one of those movies. Even I mean, I'm calm
like
right now, but
I
watching this
appreciate
movie makes me go, "Oh my gosh!" Like
I
I
appreciate it as art, but like I'm not like watching it and be like, yeah, you got out of toxic like relationship. I'm like, well, now like she's corrupted. Now she's
well,
not.
I think the point, and it's a movie. We're just talking about a movie. If this was real life, it'd be different. But in terms of the movie, I like the ending. I think it was a happy ending because
I don't think it's a happy ending, but I think I
I would
liked
argue
the ending.
I think it's a happy ending because now if you go watch his other movies, it is a happy ending compared to those. But this one is you're feeling for her the entire time. And then finally, she is happy and she's with a family that has treated her better than any of her family or her friends have ever made her feel. And they're crazy and they're sacrificing people. There's just a level of irony in all this because even though they're nuts and psychos, they've treated her more like family than her friends and her family ever did. Her
But
sister kept giving her a lot of stress. Her
could you then interpret it though that because she was mistreated by her real family and stuff, she has now become victim to this group of predators who've brainwashed her and drugged her. I mean, that's not necessarily a happy ending. It's
Well,
like
she's the May Queen, so she's going to be looked at as royalty, and then
until they decide to kill her. I mean, like,
well, she will have to kill herself because she's now part of that community.
well,
She'll at 72, she'll have to dip.
so you think that she stays though? See, I didn't know.
I don't know if she necessarily stays. It is up for interpretation, but I definitely think she was going to like hang out for a little bit, maybe have a few more drinks with them or something, and then maybe dip. I'm not sure. She just seemed very happy at the end, and like I like the fact that she was happy because the whole time, like I said,
Bro, she's
I'm
demented
so
at the end.
what?
She's demented at the end. She's been through like an emotional manipulated trauma.
But
Like
that's the
she's
fun with the movie.
traumatized.
But listen, at the end, she's smiling real big, so happy. Her soul's happy because she left this relationship that was super toxic, that made her miserable. You never see her smile once. I mean, you see her grin a little bit, but you don't see her genuinely smile, and that's the point of the ending. I think it's more of an artistic representation of this film. It's not saying the cult will make you feel better. It's saying this crazy situation
That's
made her
what you're
feel better than
saying.
her own family. It's a movie, it's art, like this is a
No,
most
see, I think that she's like, I don't know, giving in to becoming a bad person or something. You know what I mean?
well. Remember, think about it. Danny was never originally supposed to go, right? So everyone
Yeah.
who went, including the British couple, they were the sacrifices. Danny was never supposed to be a sacrifice. She was the only one who was invited that was simply supposed to enjoy the festival and witness everything. And I think they did set her up to be May Queen. I don't really know if they set her up to be, but like she won the competition, so she became May Queen. But this whole time, Danny is just a guest. She's just viewing this thing. She was never going to get sacrificed. They already had their sacrifices, And
I don't
so
know, man. I think she was manipulated by a cult, and now she's like brainwashed. That's my interpretation.
She
And
could
then
be,
she's
but you
now.
know what's, but in a really weird, screwed up way, she's living it better than she did when she was back home. That's what's sad about this movie is her home life wasn't great. Like she had a terrible boyfriend who had not the best friends, and then her sister, uh, I think she was close to her, but stressed her out a lot because she would send her a lot of random messages threatening to commit suicide, and then she finally does it. So that's the irony of this film is yes, it's crazy, it's twisted, but she was more at home with these crazy people than at home, and I think that's Ari Aster's. Ari Aster knows how to make you feel uneasy. That's the whole point of his movies. They're not supposed to make you feel comfortable. And that's what's nice about him is he's doing his own interpretation of horror movies. And you're right, there was no jump scares, but even at the end you were like, dude, she was like demented and everything. That's what makes him good at making horror movies. But
No,
it's his
I'm not. I'm
own.
not. I'm not saying it's a bad artistic ending. I'm just not gonna be like, oh yeah, she's living her best life now in a cult that's manipulated her, and like, I'm not gonna say that, Parker.
I know, but maybe I've watched it twice. So maybe you should watch it twice because I got this
Maybe
interpretation the
you have
second
been
time.
brainwashed by the Swedish people.
Well, I do have Viking heritage, so maybe.
Okay, there we go. There we go. So you're like, this isn't bad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think I think there is just the whole underlying theme of she was miserable at home, and
No, no,
weirdly enough,
no. I do agree with you to that extent. It is metaphoric, and
yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with the conclusion. That makes sense.
Did you not like the ending?
No, I liked the ending. I just don't think like, oh, now she's happy. Like that wasn't my takeaway. Artistically, I was like, that is a great ending.
So where do you think she stands then? Like if she do you not think that that smile at the very end of the movie was the most genuine smile she had throughout the whole film? Because it wasn't like an evil smile. It was more like finally I'm like at peace because
Now, to me, it was a smile of evil.
uh
I think she was genuinely happy, but I still think it was a smile
it,
of evil.
I mean, you're right in a sense. Like she got her revenge. Like she saw her boyfriend burn, and she was like, "Take that," because she saw him cheat. So she was just like, "This guy has been
Well,
terrible to
no,
me."
okay, all right. Can we get? He was drugged. Did he really cheat?
Yeah, but
He was tripping balls, Parker.
yeah, but he did that to himself. He knew. I mean, he the second they went out there, they knew what they were
Oh,
taking.
okay, all right. Well, that kind of leads me to the one question. This question: do you think that they were drugged the whole time? Like, do you think a lot of what they were just tripping?
Yeah, they were tripping so hard. I think that could also be like a theory that maybe that they were tripping the entire time, making no
Yeah,
one
you know what I
die.
mean?
Yeah, like
Like, like
yeah,
what?
that's a good theory. That's what I like about the movie. I've never seen anything like it, and I do like
Like
what
once
he.
they were there, were they sober at all?
Yeah, they were sober when they got there, but then once they go to the field, they're like, "Hey, we got mushrooms,"
Yeah, like
and
after the field scene, are they then inebriated for the rest of the?
yes,
They
because they
keep
keep
taking
drinking
more like teas and stuff.
teas. They keep drinking tea, and that tea is hinted that it's like mushroom tea, pretty much. But I don't know what exactly they did to him to make him not feel a thing because they were like, you can't move or speak, and we're gonna put you in a dead bear and burn you to death. Like that was pretty gruesome, and that
It
was
was horrible.
yeah. Because even like I said, me and my buddy Jake were like, we don't like this guy, but we still feel bad for him.
Well, because nobody deserves that. Like, what are you talking about? And he's not even like all. Like, he's kind of a douche. He's not like this horrible guy. I feel like you're making him sound like he's like this.
You might have to watch it again, man. You must have missed a lot because he's not set up to be a good guy at all. Like
But he's
even
also he's in a relationship he feels stuck in.
he's kind of a kiss butt because when he wants to do the thesis, first off, that guy was like, "You knew that I was wanting to do this. Why are you being so lazy? Why don't you go get your own?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to do it anyway." And then
Well, I agree
he
with
goes
you.
and talks to the families or the leaders, and he's just like, because they found out about the photographs being taken and the missing book, and he's over there just like, I this is unacceptable for him to do this. Like every scene he's in, he's not doing. He's making you dislike him, and you must. I don't know if you missed that, but like,
No, I didn't miss it, but I didn't go, this guy deserves to die.
well,
Like,
you got to remember in horror that's how it works.
all
This
right,
is
well,
horror. This is the. We're not talking about if this was like a romantic movie. This is different, but in horror, you have people setting up that will be set up to die.
yeah.
That's just how it works. It's the
All right, so
brutality of it
you're
all.
a pretty big fan of him though, Ari Aster here.
Yeah, I love his, and he's only made like I think three. I mean, he's made more
Yeah,
movies, but his top three were Hereditary, Midsommar,
yeah.
and But I Was Afraid.
Which I gotta see Hereditary. But my question to you is, out of 5 stars, what's your rating?
This is one of my favorite horror movies. I really do like this movie. I would say I'd give this a solid 9. I
You said
really like.
5 stars.
Oh, sorry, it's been a day. Uh, I'd give it a 4.5.
All right, mine's a 3.5.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
I didn't dis I feel like you think I disliked it because I didn't text you back when I watched it. Parker, this is the greatest film I've ever seen.
No, what you said was it was good.
It was
I wasn't
good.
blown away by it. Like you said
It
something along
was
those
good.
lines. It was good.
Yeah.
But that would be a
It
3.5.
is a quality film. It is well made. Is that fair?
Yes, now that
Okay.
is fair.
Yeah. All right.
So who was your favorite character in this movie?
The bear.
I feel
Um,
bad for the you see, I feel bad for the bear the most. He was just
no.
chilling.
I guess I liked Danny.
Same. She's my favorite.
I feel like she was the one that got like the most character development. Yeah, man. No, I enjoyed the movie. It was a good pick. It was a good pick for the episode, man. I appreciate it. So, on the topic of horror, I thought it'd be fun if we both share like a ghost story. And I know you said you had one.
I do. I have one. It is pretty gnarly. So you want me to go first? You go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so this happened when I was in the first grade. I used to live in Arkansas, and we lived in like the middle
I'm
of the.
already scared.
That's how it usually starts, and that's how people usually respond. It's Fayetteville, Arkansas. It was beautiful there. So we're in the middle of the woods, and it gets really dark at night in this area of Arkansas. And so, I lived on the side of the house that's like facing towards the lawn and the trees, and there's a little bit of light below the house. And I used to go play with my window all the time, and I would get a bunch of like oil marks all over my window.
What do you mean play with your window?
I would like open it and go out on the roof and walk around and like yeah, I used to go on the roof all the time, and we had a
What?
pretty big house. Yeah, so like you could get on the roof. It was a lot of fun. So I'd go like open my window up, or I'd like go beatbox on it or something. I'm just like I like being near my window and like writing in my journal and like doing my homework near the window. It was like a nice spot because it had like a little bench area, and so there was one night where I'm in my bed and it was facing directly towards the window. Like
Yeah.
the window was like right in front of me, and all those oil marks from my fingers were all over the window. I had like didn't clean it and I needed to, but it formed a face and it wasn't just like a coincidence that the finger marks just made like a goofy face. It was something that finger marks could have never done. It was a perfectly chiseled face. And
Was it like handsome Squidward?
it was not handsome Squidward at all. It was scary Squidward. And it had
Wait,
these
it didn't look like Squidward, did it?
no,
Oh
dude.
yeah.
I can't even it was so scary. I can't even describe to you how it looked. It just looked it had like a sadistic smile, not like the one Danny had, but just a very sinister smile looking at me, but like
Now I'm not trying to be funny here, but like they look like the Joker,
No, it looked
like that kind of like
kind of closed my
sadistic.
eyes and envisioned it again because it really scared me, and it was there for like a while, like it was there for a few nights,
All
and
right, was it human looking or did it look like a creature?
it looked supernatural.
Okay, so it's that
It
wasn't
looked
just like me just going like,
no, it
all right,
wasn't
like
like
it was
it wasn't
like
like a or
like
it was like
a person could not replicate
a
this
person could
without
not
like makeup or
replicate this
something.
face. The Joker himself, Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, Jack
Okay,
Nicholson,
okay.
no one could replicate this creepy smile. It was demonic and it was very scary. And the eyes were like I can't remember if they were making eye contact with me, but I feel like they were looking either up or they were wide out eyes or they were looking at me. I don't remember, but I remember I would like I was one of those kids that would like kept looking, you know, I was like I looked down and I kept looking at it. Like, and so I eventually was like, I can't keep doing this. And so the next day I like went and wiped off I tried to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like, okay, there's so much of finger marks, let's like clean this up a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, maybe the
From when
face.
you were playing on the roof,
Yeah, I was playing on the roof.
like
So
most kids.
yeah, like not most kids. I was a very different kid. So I go get some Windex and I go and clean some of the window and I was like, okay, the finger marks are gone. It's finally clean. Maybe that was a sign that I needed to clean my window. And so then
It's like that's a sign.
and then the next
I
day,
need to see my window. What?
the next night, the face was still there.
Oh, yo, all right, yo, that's creepy.
Yeah, face was still there, and I went.
Was it like angrier now that you've like tried to?
It looked the same.
It was the same.
Nothing
Okay,
changed. And then I went,
bro.
okay. And so I don't really remember what I did the next day. It eventually went away, but I
Yeah.
think I went over there and like put like a blanket over the window when I went to sleep or something, and then eventually just disappeared. But I will never. I can't describe to you the face, man. Like I will never be able to. It was just, but I still can remember it. I could still see it, and um, so yeah, that happened in the first grade, and that
Bro,
was
what would you do right now if you like looked up on the screen and like I had that face?
I would probably be extremely terrified, and I'd probably pass out from being that terrified.
Yeah, I'm not
Uh,
kidding. I feel like that would be, but wouldn't that make for like a good horror movie scene? Like,
yeah.
yo,
Honestly, it's a great setup for a horror movie. It's just, what do you do after the face goes away?
no, I don't know. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, I know.
But that's my story. I don't know if I have a few more, but that I knew something was.
Did anything ever like else happen in that house? Was it like,
There was a few moments we had some moment. There was a few girls that came to our house one time and they swore they saw a man come bang on the window, and I didn't see him, but they said, and I believed them. Like this wasn't like, oh,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
crazy. It was like, no, I believed them. And then we called the cops and they were like, there's no fingerprints or anything on the window.
huh.
And they said they were like, you got to believe us. We saw somebody bang on your window. So there was a few creepy moments in the house. Like keep in mind, this house was huge. It was a big house. There was a lot of land. It was we had like a tree house, but at night it was like Blair Witch dark. Like it was dark. So you didn't ever go walk around at night unless you were with a group and you had flashlights or so
You'd be
we
like
had a
walking around, like you just hear like banjo music and run.
yeah yeah or you see Midsommar, the people in the
Midsommar
backyard.
going on.
But there was a few
There's a
creepy.
large Swedish community in Arkansas. No.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was the house that made me love horror movies in a weird way because
Yeah.
we had a basement and that's where like our entertainment area was. Like the my dad's office was there. There was the guest room there. There was like a ping pong table and a workout station and like a fridge and like and so, I used to, I was never allowed to watch horror movies. So like I would go
Yeah.
down to the basement and like sneak and watch them like on low volume and like just try to get as much of the movie as I could because I was a very, you know, what's the word? No,
Rebellious?
no, I wouldn't say rebellious. Just I was interested. I was very
Curious.
curious. Curious.
All right.
I apologize to the fans. It is Thursday. But I was a curious kid, and I was like, I want to see what's on TV, and so there was definitely a lot of crazy, creepy moments in that house. But I've talked too much about my moment. What about you? I need your ghost story. What happened to the Joe that I know?
All right. So this story is going to be interesting. I was like, I was kind of nervous about telling it. So I was wondering, like, I was like, hmm, I don't know. I don't know if like they have this in Texas. So like, I don't know. So because it's a very like, I feel like it's a very like Italian story, like a very Italian
Ah,
American story. So
yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna like fully get it, but so I was like, I was in my senior year of college, and I was just feeling like a presence, where I lived, and it would be like one of those things. Like I felt like I was being like watched all the time. You know what I mean? Like just like constantly like just having that feeling, right? And it was like a feeling of like something bad watching me too, right? So, um, Italians have like kind of like folk customs to deal with such things. Like I don't know if you know about like the evil eye curse.
I don't.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's like it's a Italian American, it's an Italian thing. It's like a curse that people could give to other people, kind of thing. It's like one of those things. It's like I don't know if I like fully believe in that, but like, you know, curses freak me out for sure.
Oh,
So
for sure.
I have a cousin who uh does who like knows how to do these like Italian customs, right? So I called her up because I was starting to get paranoid. And also, Hotel California by the Eagles. I was constantly hearing that song, and I started to become convinced that that was like some sort of sign that like I was being stalked by this song. I felt like
Oh
being
my.
watched. Dude, I'll tell you, that song came on like all the time. And I was starting to like I would like come on and I'd just be like,
You
oh,
know, because it's a great song. Don't get me wrong, but
it's a
it has
great
a
song.
level. It has a level of creepiness to it.
Oh,
If you
it's
hear,
definitely there's a sinisterness in the song. It's all about like the post 60s, like the 70s drug culture. That's what it's about. Don't know what has to do with ghosts, but I became convinced that it was. So I call my cousin and I'm like, listen, I know that you had the customs. I explained to her what's going on. I said, what do I do? And she tells me, go to the store and buy a plain white votive candle. That's like one of those like saint candles.
uh-huh.
I'm sure you've seen that. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I've seen
Uh,
those for sure.
so, but just like one with like nothing on it. It's just white, right? And this was like a time that I realized my friend Pat was like he was like a good friend. And Pat just got married. I was the best man at his wedding. Pat and Michaela, congratulations. Uh, so yeah, this was like so. I say to my friend Pat, I said, Pat, I need you to drive me to a bodega to buy a white candle. It's because I just kind of said that, and I might have hinted it was like there's like a ghost, and he's just like, okay, threw me there, and I was like, all right. So I get the candle and I light it, and I was told to light it and let it burn. And I did that, and I added some stuff like I put a crucifix up and like some pictures of saints that I had, and like religious symbols, and I burnt it, and I let it sit there, right? I didn't let it burn all the way through, but I stopped feeling like the presence, and I stopped hearing Hotel California. So
Wow, dude, that's creepy.
I know, right?
I think creepier almost than my story.
Oh, I mean, I think mine's a lot more zany than your story too, because there's like all this, you know, yours didn't have a song by a 70s prog band.
And so like I must have missed the beginning. So like the song was stalking you pretty much,
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I probably
and
should
then
have.
you felt, oh yeah, you felt a presence too.
It
So
was like simultaneous, but like
okay.
I definitely in my mind like started to believe that the song was connected to it because Parker, I would hear it like a lot. It would just come on. It was like, it's kind of a creepy song,
It is kind of a
like,
creepy song, man.
you
Like
know.
there's a level of yeah creepiness to it that such a lovely place, such
Yeah.
a love. So
Yeah.
like my question for you, Joe, is do you still like the song, or when it comes on, does it just remind you of that?
No, no. So I actually do like the song and I will listen to it. I do enjoy that
But
song.
when it comes on, does it remind you of that moment?
Not always. It did remind me enough that that's why I made this segment today.
That's pretty creepy. And you're from a part of the country that has a lot of history, so there's probably some paranormal things. Like you're not too far from Salem, aren't you? Like
No, I'm very far from Salem.
you are? How
Yeah.
far?
I don't
Like
know, like 4 hours,
okay, that's not too far. I thought you
four,
meant
5 hours,
like
6 hours,
Dallas is
maybe.
like I would say Dallas isn't too far from me. It's like 4 hours away, but you know, like
I
so yeah,
would,
you're part of like you live in a part of the country that has a lot of history, man. Like a
well, yeah,
lot
there's a
of
battle. There's a major revolutionary battlefield that's like about a mile or two. Yeah. No, we
and
got
same with Texas. There's a lot of history here too, but like I wonder if that means spirits are lurking, you know?
I'm not sure, man.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't know. Why don't you like go into the Alamo and like just sleep there overnight and see if anything happens?
Dude, I'm good.
Report
I
back to us next time.
yeah, for
But
part
what
two.
do we got next time? We are going to be hopefully joined by a guest.
Yeah,
Uh,
should I give the guest name or
if you think he's going to show up.
oh, he for sure is going to show up. He's got
Okay.
it. Rocket Thrall. He's going to be on the next show, and we'll be discussing Inglorious Bastards by
Yes, the
Quentin
Tarantino
Tarantino.
film. Yeah. All
Tarantino.
right. So, guys, remember to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. Also, follow us on Instagram. That's at the underscore highly underscore original underscore podcast. I wish that was a little bit easier for me to say because that is a mouthful, but that is the Instagram we have. So, all right, guys, until next time, take care.
Bye, guys.